Oh my goodness, guys. Chapter 285 of My Hero Academia is the definition of insanity. This chapter will change everything. And so if you are an anime only and you are intent on remaining spoiler free and not becoming privy to the insane developments that have come out of this story recently, then I suggest you make your exit now, because we are going to be talking about all that and more. But with that, let us begin. So we open up with a flashback of when Deku was being consulted by a doctor in regards to his arms, that if he continues to go buck wild and full power with his arms, he could permanently lose use of them. And man, I was a little salty about this aspect because we did actually have a video planned just theorizing all this, the fact that he would lose his arms, but it's now at the forefront of the story, so hey, I can't be mad really. But from there, we get to see the aftermath of the blow that we got to see at the end of the last chapter, which is just a ridiculous display of strength and power, as the recoil from this, the blowback, is just nonsensical. Deku's arm here looks like it did at the very beginning of the series, where he is just destroying his own body. And he is just beating the mess out of Shigaraki at this point. Detroit Smash just yamming on him. Wyoming, St. Louis, this man is just going crazy ballistic on Shigaraki, who is just barely keeping up with his defenses here. The damage is just way too much, he can't handle it, and so he is just completely on the defensive here, because if he doesn't, he stands no chance. If he tries to go for an attack or loosens up his defenses even a smidgen, he is just done. And as such, he recognizes that beyond the fact that his power is incomplete, it's not at its full threshold and capabilities, this power of One for All is something special. This power is substantial. It is not something to be understated, as it is quite clearly the biggest hurdle keeping him away from his dream. Deku is the final boss that he's been talking about all this time since the beginning of the series when he was first introduced. And as he vocalizes this, Deku actually responds, saying that that is the purpose of this power. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to stop you. This is the whole reason why I was given power in the first place. And it is crazy, like looking at this kid's face, he is just berserk. And we all know that when Deku gets like this, there is no stopping him. He is really and truly ready to risk it all. And as Shigaraki prepares himself once again for the impact, Deku releases yet another smash, which is just massive. These attacks are colossal. I can't even scale them in comparison to what he's done before, because it's just off the charts. This is the point where Shigaraki is just mentally panicking, trying to figure out what he can muster to take this kid out, what can deal with this power that is so overwhelming. Meanwhile, Manuel is just down on the ground with Eraserhead and is just looking above in amazement as to what Deku is capable of. But Bakugo corrects him that no, this isn't gonna last very long, because ultimately he is going to destroy himself. That he is expending everything in his catalog of powers and quirks to defeat Shigaraki. But right now it's just not enough, and he doesn't have enough power within him left to finish the job, especially since Shigaraki does still have that regenerative factor. Even if these two tear each other apart, at the end of the day, Shigaraki is more likely to walk away from the fight than Deku is, just because of the mass assortment of quirks that he has, especially that regenerative one. And if that happens, One for All is pretty much already in the hands of Shigaraki at that point. And with that, Bakugo is certainly airing out a lot of information while also taking the leadership position here, despite the #1 hero being right there. It is embarrassing. Like, I can understand power output and what have you being unreasonable, as this is the power of the former #1 hero and symbol of peace, All Might and all that. But goodness gracious, for Bakugo to take the helm, to take the leadership position here, while the #1 hero, your face of society, heroic society, is right there, it's just disgraceful. And mind you, this is one of the least team-oriented characters in the entire series doing all this. He then proceeds to say that Endeavor shouldn't use his firepower until it is time to attack, as with his explosions, he can bring them up there. and that Shoto should keep his dad cooled down as long as possible. And with that, as we predicted from the last chapter, Endeavor plans to use his final gambit, his full fire power on Shigaraki here to end the fight. And now, sort of being left out of the conversation and situation, Rocklock is over here saying that they're just kids, they shouldn't be doing all this. But my man Shoto doesn't even listen to this guy and just tells him, hey, do your job, protect the Razorhead, look after him. While Rocklock is just sitting here shaking, realizing that, you know, I've recognized these guys. They're beyond kids, they're beyond students. They are heroes, true and true. Beyond the whole social construct, these guys are really heroes. And so he just does as he's told. With that, the three blast up into the air as Endeavor tells them that when he does his attack, that they should drop down and get out of the blast radius. And as they're heading up, Bakugo is sort of reflecting on the flashback sequence that we got to see from the last chapter, as All Might was telling him that he doesn't want to speculate about any darker side of One for All or anything like that without proper evidence. And oh my goodness, Bakugo is really out here asking the necessary questions, as he says that One for All and All for One are pretty similar powers. I mean, All for One, even if by accident, did create this power for his younger brother, and so how can you be so sure that it's not just as bad? But regardless, even if it is, and as he thinks this to himself, he has several images and memories flash through his mind. As he thinks of when he used to bully Deku, he thinks of when he saw All Might save people with his power, how it made him and Deku and all his friends feel. The smile of the #1 hero, his rejection of Deku, him coming face to face with Deku not backing down and not being bullied by him. And now seeing the visage, the form of this person that he once designated a loser, giving everything that he has, sacrificing his entire body and more to take out this force. One for All is incredible. Deku is incredible. And as Deku reels back with Black Whip, keeping Shigaraki like a damn yo-yo at this point, to once again hit him, Endeavor launches upwards and holds Shigaraki from behind. And Deku, not really knowing what's going on here, is surprised and begins to mutter Endeavor's name, but is quickly told to get down as Endeavor exhausts every bit of firepower in his arsenal at his disposal. Prominence burn and just ignites Shigaraki, who is just retching in pain at this point from the agonizing flames consuming him, as from within the furthest crevice of his mind, the call of All for One comes through, saying that he should offer his body to him, that he is going to be now taking control. Which to me is thoroughly terrifying and further gives significance to our prior conversation with the previous chapter in regards to the fact that Shigaraki can repress and try to push back and pull his way away from the clutches of All for One, but ultimately that guy is way too powerful and definitely has a hold on him, considering it is his quirk being used here. And in the instant that this happens, several tendrils extend from the back of Shigaraki and through the body of Endeavor as he begins to plummet downwards to the ground, as Shigaraki is pretty much like a burning, charred, undead corpse at this point. And with this sort of depiction, it's hard to even denote him to be Shigaraki anymore, as he to me far more resembles All for One, who then calls out to his little brother as he extends several tendrils that we've seen before. We've seen All for One use these around the time when he was fighting All Might. But here it is, guys. As these tendrils lash out at Deku, Bakugo, recognizing this, propels himself forwards, remembering every moment, good or bad, that he has had with Deku in the past. And without thinking, like a true hero, his body simply moved on its own as he pushes Deku out of the way and is pierced several times over by the power of All for One. And that is the chapter. The events of this one are terrifying. They are definitely scary, as Deku is at his limit at this point. Endeavor is done. Bakugo is seemingly done. Eraserhead is done. Everyone is just ripped apart and broken. Even Shigaraki is destroyed at this point. But at the very least, he has his regenerative capabilities and has Gigantomachia and the rest of the League of Villains on his back and on the way. So this is a very difficult, terrible, horrible situation for the heroes. And it is so sad to see our boy Bakugo in this shape, but we actually did predict it. We said that he would have his moment where he would save Deku, that was an inevitability. And it turns out that we were correct. Can't say that I expected it to happen so soon, but here we are. Now, thanks to the power of plot armor, with him being our main rival and most popular character in the series, I highly doubt that Bakugo is going to be dead from this, but even beyond that, this attack wasn't intended to be a lethal one. All for One needs Deku alive to take the quirk as far as we know, so Bakugo should be alright. Now, there is certainly a lot to be said about this chapter, and so you can certainly expect several related videos to come from us in the coming days, so make sure that you are subscribed to the channel if you have not done so already, and please let us know all your thoughts on this insanity, these crazy developments in the comment section down below. And with so many things to talk about, you'll definitely want to stick around, because when it comes to bringing you some of the best My Hero Academia content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. As always, I am Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.